Alright guys, welcome back. We're going to start on our back to basics and we're going to be working with whole numbers first. So we are going to practice adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. How I envision this video to go for you as a student is we're going to do a couple problems together, maybe 2 or 3, and then I'm going to give you a couple problems to work on your own. What I would expect that you do is you pause the video, work the problem, and then we'll go over the answer together. So get yourself a pad of paper. I've got a big legal pad here and a pencil. Always do math and pencil because you're going to be erasing, I promise you. Let's start on number 1. So let's do 6,379 plus 2,486. So when you're adding decimals, adding whole numbers, what you want to make sure is that the digits are flushed to the right, okay? So actually what you're really doing is you are lining up the decimal because this is a whole number. And that means the decimal is going to be right there in your answer. So we're going to start our way from the right and work our way to the left. Now if this is a little too easy for you, please feel free to pause or fast forward. You know, you don't need to be doing anything you don't already understand, but this is just a review. Okay, so 9 plus 6 is 15. We have to carry the 1, and the 5 goes right down here. 7 plus 8 is 15. We have to add the 1 that we carried, and we get 16. 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 1 is 8, and 6 plus 2 is also 8. So your answer is 8,865. All right, going on to number 2. Let's do 1,278 plus 695. Actually, let's do 3 numbers this time. Plus 3,427. All right, so again, I've got my numbers on the right all lined up here because that's where the decimal is. And when you're adding 3 numbers or more, you might want to take your time because you don't want to make any silly mistakes. So 8 plus 5 is 13, plus 7 is 20. We're going to carry the 2. 2 plus 7 is 9. Plus 9 is 18, plus 2 is 20. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 6 is 10, plus 4 is 14. And 1 plus 1 plus 3 is 5. So the answer should be 5,400. Okay? Pretty easy stuff. So I'm going to give you 2 to work on your own. The first one, let's have you do 7,961 plus 284. All right, go ahead and pause the video and work out your answer. All right, so you should have had some time to work. So it should have been 5. 6 plus 8 is 14. 10 plus 2 is 12. 7 plus 1 is 8. So you should have had 8245. All right, going on to the next one. You can't see that. 304 plus 12 plus 86. So you should have paused the video and go ahead. All right, so for number 4, you should get 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 6 is 12. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 8 is 10. 1 plus 3 is 4, so 402. All right, so we just worked on addition. Let's do some subtraction. Hopefully the addition came back to you pretty easily. All right, so for our first problem for subtraction, 765, oops, sorry, this is number 5. 765 minus 78. Now, again, if you notice, I've got my numbers flushed to the right because that's where the decimal is. So we're going to start off with the borrowing. So 5 minus 8. I can't take 8 from 5, right? So I have to borrow. I'm going to borrow from the 6, which is in the tens place. The 6 turns into a 5, one less, because you're essentially giving 10 to this 5 over here, which is why this turns into 15. All right, so just remember, when you're borrowing, you go to the number next door, you cross it out, you go to one less, and then you give a 1 to the guy to the right. Now we can do 15 minus 8, which is 7. 5 minus 7, I can't do that, so I need to borrow from the 7. That turns into a 6. And then I give 10 to this 5 here, so that makes it again 15. Now I can do 15 minus 7, which is 8. 6 minus, there's nothing here to take away, so it's 6 minus 0, so that would just be 6. So your answer would be 687. Let's try another one. Let's do 3,241 minus 784. Okay, we're going to do lots of borrowing so we get really good at it. So 1 minus 4, can't do that. So I'm going to borrow here. That turns into a 3. Give 1 to this guy. Now I can do 11 minus 4, which is 7. 3 minus 8, can't do that. So I'm going to borrow from the 2. Turns into a 1. Gonna give 10 to the 3, so now it's 13. So 13 minus 8 is 5. 1 minus 7, can't do that. So I'm gonna borrow from the 3. That turns into a 2. Gonna give 10 to the 1, so that becomes 11. 11 minus 7 is 4. 2 minus 0 is 2. All right, so I'm gonna give you 2 problems to work on your own, and then just pause the video and go ahead and solve. So let's do 6,454 minus 896. Go ahead and pause the video and work that one out. All right, so coming back, 4 minus 6, can't do that. So you're left with 14 minus 6, which is 8. Can't do 4 minus 9. 14 minus 9 is 5. 3 minus 8, can't do that. 13 minus 8 is 5. 5 minus 0 is 5. So 5,558. All right. I'm going to give you a tougher one. Let's give you 6,000 minus 342. Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can work that one out. Oops, sorry. There you go. All right, so you know that we can't take 2 from 0. Okay, so you want to go next door, but this 0, you can't borrow from 0. Okay, and you can't go to this guy either because it's also a 0. So you have to go all the way over to the 6, and you can borrow to the 6, and that turns into a 5. Now, we can only borrow between the neighbors, the neighbor numbers, okay? So just because I borrow from here doesn't mean I give 10 to him. I can only give 10 to the guy next door, so that becomes 10, okay? Now, this is where it's gonna get confusing, so stay with me. Now, this 0 can borrow from 10. It becomes a 9, and I can give 10 to him. And now, this 0 can borrow from this 10. That becomes a 9, and this becomes a 10, and we can finally work our problem. So, 10 minus 2 is 8. 9 minus 4 is 5. 9 minus 3 is 6. 5 minus 0 is 5. Okay? So let's go ahead and do in one more of those so you can get practice. So let's go on to number 9. So I'm going to let you work this out on your own. Do 4,000 minus 268. Pause. All right, so remember, you have to borrow all the way over from the 4. So you got to turn that 4 into a 3. But remember, you can only give to the guy next door, so that turns into a 10. And you know what? I'm going to show you a trick about this in a minute. So now this guy can borrow from him. That turns into a 9. Becomes that a 10. That guy becomes a 9. Becomes that a 10. Now I want you to see the pattern here. You can see that what I did is, you can see these digits to the left of the 0, the first 0, the 600. All I really did is cross them out and wrote one less. I went from 600 to 599. Okay, that kind of takes out some of those steps. And the same thing here. I had 400 because I was borrowing for the 0, and I just changed that to 399. So if you encountered another problem like that, all I would recommend doing is doing that and going on your merry way. Save some time. Okay? All right, and the answer for this one would be 2, 3, 7, and 3. And the answer for this one would be 8, 5, 3, and 7. Okay, that's it for adding and subtracting. We'll do another video for multiplying and dividing.